At the dawn of the golden age of Hollywood, there was one couple who set themselves far above their peers. While most were sticking to their sound stages and perfectly placed sets, Martin and Osa Johnson were shooting groundbreaking films in Africa, soaring over mountains, driving through rivers, and living with the locals. Together, the two of them captured the spirit of Africa and brought images back home for America to see. Taking the first aerial photos of Mount Kenya and Kilimanjaro.
But we make it the peak of Mount Kenya, nearly 18,000 feet above the sea.
Shooting the first sound films on the continent. And flying over 60,000 miles in their twin animal print amphibious planes. These two pioneers of filmmaking and African exploration became quite the celebrities. But the world is forgetting about them. While the Johnsons spent most of their lives traveling, their roots were always in small-town Kansas. At the turn of the 20th century, Osa grew up in Chanute, and her husband, 10 years her senior, in the neighboring town of Independence. To their friends and family, their dreams of adventure were insane, but to them, it was just the beginning. To quote Osa,
"I went to Africa with Martin for just the same reason that lots of girls settle down on Main Street back home, just to be with my husband."
But soon enough, she couldn't find herself looking back. She made the two of them a home wherever their adventure took them. She would cook, she would garden, and she would make friends out of the locals through her ability to quickly pick up other languages. Before she knew how to operate a camera, she was indispensable to Martin as a creative partner. Beyond her ability to charm the natives, she would be the one holding the rifle in the event that any animals became too aggressive. Her involvement in their productions would solidify her as an icon for women all over the world. As their successes kept pouring in, they stayed focused on their mission. Take only photos, leave only footprints. Besides their personal belongings, the only items they would return with were items gifted to them. Today, you can find their personal belongings, several of their gifts, and various other donations in the Martin and Osa Johnson Safari Museum in Osa's hometown of Chanute, Kansas. Over the decades, the museum has stayed focused on not just preserving the history of the Johnsons, but to also tell the stories of other impactful women of the world. Their Lizzie LeBlond exhibit honors another one of the world's first female filmmakers. Through the help of countless passionate curators, they have been able to successfully recover some of Johnson's original footage and digitize LeBlond's photo archive to help share them with the rest of the world. In 1937, Martin tragically lost his life in an airplane accident. After his death, Osa continued their mission with her solo career. This is where she grew beyond the name of Mrs. Martin Johnson and truly became Osa. She kept visiting Africa, which felt like a home to her, kept sharing photographs, holding lectures, and educating Americans about what life was like on the other side of the world. Together, Martin and Osa produced 20 books, 9 feature films, dozens of shorts, over 15,000 images, and miles of the earliest surviving film footage from around the globe. Even though the two of them were surrounded by fame and fortune in New York City, Osa would state her disdain for city life and desire to return to the jungle.
"I prefer it out there. When I sling my rifle over my shoulder and go out into the forest, I feel as if everything belonged to me. There's no competition out there. No worry about what to wear and what other women are wearing. I am queen of the jungle."
Osa died in 1953 at age 58, but through the passion of her and her husband, their impact stretches the globe and their legacy of exploration and education lives on inside the small town where her adventure truly began.
So we started home, back towards the Mediterranean and civilization, after the most delightful and glorious safari Osi and I ever had. Resolving to return again next year to bring you pictures of another thrilling adventure.